She lied about being pregnant to ruin my life. You won't believe what happened. I never thought my life could turn into a soap opera. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you I was just an ordinary guy working a decent job, hanging out with friends on the weekends, and occasionally playing video games until 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. Nothing extraordinary. Then my ex-girlfriend, Melissa, came crashing back into my life like a wrecking ball. We had dated for about a year in college. She was beautiful, fiery, and fun at first, but also possessive and jealous in ways that made me feel suffocated. I could never text a female coworker without her demanding to see the conversation. If I came home 5 minutes late, she wanted to know exactly where I'd been and who I was with. By the end of our relationship, I was exhausted, walking on eggshells every day. When I finally broke up with her, she cried, begged, threatened to hurt herself, then accused me of cheating just to make me look like the bad guy. After that, we had no contact for nearly 2 years, until one afternoon, when I was sitting in my office eating a sandwich. My phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I don't answer unknown calls, but something made me pick up. "Hello," I said. A familiar voice came through the line, sharp and trembling. "We need to talk." It was Melissa. I froze. My first thought was, why is she calling me after all this time? My second was, this cannot be good. "I don't think that's a good idea," I replied cautiously. "It's about us," she insisted. "You should know the truth," I sighed. "Melissa, we don't have an us anymore. That ended a long time ago." There was a pause, then her voice cracked. "I'm pregnant." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. "What? You heard me," she snapped. "I'm pregnant, and it's yours." My sandwich nearly fell out of my hands. "Melissa, that's impossible. We haven't even seen each other in years." "You think I don't know that?" She shot back. "But you cheated on your girlfriend with me a few months ago. Don't pretend you don't remember." I blinked in pure disbelief. "Are you out of your mind? We haven't spoken since the breakup. How could I have cheated with you if I haven't even been near you?" But she was relentless. "Stop lying. You think you can just use me and walk away? Well, I'm not going to let you ruin my life. Everyone will know what kind of man you really are." I hung up before she could say more, my hands shaking. My coworkers glanced at me, confused by my pale face, but I couldn't even explain. My mind was spinning. That evening, I told my current girlfriend, Emily, about the call. We'd been together for a year and a half, and she was the complete opposite of Melissa, kind, patient, trusting. I hated to drag her into this mess, but I knew I had to be honest. When I finished explaining, Emily stared at me in stunned silence. Then she laughed bitterly. "So, let me get this straight. Your crazy ex, who you haven't seen in forever, suddenly calls and says she's pregnant with your child." "Yes," I muttered. "It sounds insane, but she swears I cheated on you with her." Emily rubbed her temples. "That doesn't even make sense." "But she could make your life miserable with this. If she starts telling people, it could spread fast." And that's exactly what happened. Within a week, rumors began circulating. A couple of my friends texted me, asking if it was true that I had secretly been seeing Melissa behind Emily's back. One coworker even pulled me aside and said, "Hey, man, if you're in trouble, I know a good lawyer." I was furious. Melissa had always been manipulative, but this was on another level. She was rewriting reality itself. When I confronted her again, demanding to know why she was doing this, she sent me a blurry photo of a positive pregnancy test. "See," she texted, "you can't deny it forever." I wanted to scream. Anyone could buy a test and send a picture. It proved nothing. But Melissa wasn't done. She started showing up near my office, waiting outside like some kind of stalker. She'd glare at Emily and me if she saw us together, sometimes even shouting, "He's the father of my child," in public. Emily tried to stay strong, but I could see the stress eating away at her. She trusted me, but she hated being humiliated like that. Who wouldn't? I decided I needed solid proof that Melissa was lying, proof that would shut her down once and for all. But what I eventually uncovered was worse than I ever imagined. I couldn't let Melissa's lies ruin everything I had built with Emily or my own sanity. The first step was to gather evidence. I started by retracing every single interaction Melissa claimed we had recently. I pulled out my phone records, emails, and even old social media DMs. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Every timestamp, every message, every call confirmed the same thing. I had not spoken to her in years. But Melissa was clever. She knew that most people wouldn't fact-check. They'd believe the emotional story, the pregnancy claim, the vague accusations of infidelity. People are naturally inclined to trust someone who seems upset, even if the facts don't add up. Determined, I enlisted a private investigator, a friend of mine from college who had gone into security and investigations. His name was Ryan. And if there was a way to prove Melissa was lying, he would find it. Ryan started by tracking Melissa's movements and background. Within a few days, he found something I hadn't considered. Melissa had been involved with someone else, a man she claimed was a coworker. But in reality, he was a shady guy with a criminal record. Someone prone to manipulation and fraud. The more we dug, the more obvious it became. Melissa was using him to create the illusion of a pregnancy, possibly even going as far as faking tests or doctor visits. Meanwhile, Emily stood by me. Although it was getting harder for her to see Melissa roaming around town, posting dramatic stories on social media, claiming I had betrayed her, it was exhausting. One night, after a particularly stressful day, I sat down at my computer and searched online for Melissa's name, plus the word pregnancy and fraud. At first, nothing appeared. But then I noticed a post on a local community forum. Someone had reported seeing Melissa at a nearby clinic, yet the dates didn't match up. The post was vague, mentioning she had come with a friend, but no mention of an actual pregnancy. I forwarded everything to Ryan. "Look at this," I said. "It's subtle, but something's off." Ryan frowned. "It's definitely fishy. We need more." Over the next week, Ryan went undercover, pretending to be a patient at the same clinic. He reported back Melissa had never been seen for any prenatal checkups. She had visited the clinic, yes, but only to meet with a nurse friend she knew. No records of a pregnancy existed. Armed with this information, I confronted Melissa one evening. Emily stayed home, refusing to be dragged into another confrontation. And honestly, I didn't want her to be hurt any further. "Melissa, I know you're lying," I said calmly, holding a folder with the evidence. "You're not pregnant. None of this is true." She laughed, a hollow, bitter sound that made my stomach turn. "You think you can prove it? People believe what they see. Everyone will believe me, even if it's not true. You'll never escape this. People will believe the truth too." I shot back. "You've been manipulating photos, post, and test. I have proof. If you don't stop, this goes to court." Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I saw panic. Then she masked it with a sneer. "Do your worst," she spat, storming out. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of relief. Melissa was dangerous, but maybe, just maybe, I could finally end this nightmare. But that relief was short-lived. 2 days later, I received a call from a local hospital. "Are you John? You need to come immediately. There's been a situation involving Melissa." My heart raced. I rushed to the hospital, Emily by my side, and found out the shocking truth. Melissa had been admitted she had gone into premature labor. I froze. But she wasn't pregnant. Emily grabbed my hand. "John, we need to stay calm. Let's just see what's happening." The doctors explained Melissa had staged the pregnancy. Yes, but she had done something extreme. She had been taking fertility drugs secretly, trying to fake the physical symptoms of pregnancy, and in her obsession, she had accidentally caused herself to go into a medical emergency. The irony was cruel. Melissa's own lies had backfired catastrophically. She wasn't carrying a child, but her body had reacted as if she were. As Emily and I watched from a waiting room, I felt a mix of disbelief, fear, and a strange sense of justice. Melissa had weaponized lies, hurt everyone around her, and now she was paying the price. When I finally saw her in the hospital room, she looked weak, almost unrecognizable. No dramatic scenes, no accusations, just a person who had lost control. "John," she whispered hoarsely. I shook my head. "No more lies, Melissa. This ends here." Her eyes filled with tears. I just wanted him. I wanted someone to care." I walked away, leaving Emily beside me, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. For the first time in months, I realized that life could move forward. Melissa's manipulation had been terrifying, but the truth had emerged, and that was more powerful than any rumor she could spread. After the hospital incident, life began to settle, though not immediately. The public spectacle of Melissa's lies had left a mark on everyone. Around me, friends, co-workers, even Emily. People whispered, stared, and some judged without knowing the whole story. But Emily stayed steadfast, and that gave me strength. Melissa's actions had finally caught the attention of authorities. The combination of harassment, stalking, and falsifying medical claims wasn't just morally wrong, it was legally actionable. I decided to pursue a restraining order, not out of vengeance, but to protect myself and Emily. The legal process was intense. Melissa's lawyer argued that she was under emotional distress and that some of her actions were just misunderstandings. But Ryan, the investigator, had prepared a meticulous case. Phone records, social media activity, hospital reports all clearly showed that she had manipulated, fabricated, and deceived. The court date arrived, and I sat there with Emily, hands tightly clasped. waiting for the truth to finally be recognized. Melissa walked in, her face pale, almost fragile. Gone was the fiery, aggressive persona she had worn like armor. Now she seemed broken. The proceedings were straightforward. The judge listened carefully as Ryan presented the evidence, piece by piece. Melissa's loud ear attempted to downplay it, but the facts were overwhelming. When asked directly if she was pregnant, Melissa's voice wavered. "No, not really," she admitted. The courtroom gasped. It was surreal to hear her confess, to hear the lie she had clung to so desperately unravel. The restraining order was granted, preventing her from contacting me or Emily. Melissa was ordered to undergo counseling, and the court made it clear any future harassment would carry serious consequences. After leaving the courthouse, Emily and I walked down the street in silence for a moment, simply letting the air of freedom wash over us. I felt an enormous weight lift from my shoulders. No more accusations, no more stress, no more fear of her sudden appearances. But the aftermath wasn't just legal, it was personal. Friends and co-workers had started gossiping during the whole ordeal, and some had believed Melissa at first. Rebuilding trust and restoring my reputation required patience. I spoke honestly with colleagues, clarified the truth on social media in a controlled, calm manner, and gradually people realized the depth of her manipulation. At home, Emily and I talked for hours about everything: the fear, the anger, the betrayal, and the relief. I explained every step I had taken to ensure she was safe, and that Melissa couldn't hurt us anymore. Emily held my hand and said, "I always believed you, John, but I'm glad we finally have closure." Closure, however, didn't mean forgetting. I often reflected on the intensity of Melissa's actions. Her obsession had been frightening, but it also revealed something profound. People can lose themselves entirely in lies and manipulation. She wasn't evil. In a cartoonish way, she was desperate, frightened, and reckless. Understanding that didn't excuse her behavior, but it helped me feel some empathy rather than pure hatred. Weeks later, I received a message not from Melissa, but from a mutual friend who had witnessed everything unfold. "John, I don't know how you did it, but thank you. You stayed calm, collected, and fair. Melissa needed to face reality, and you did it without stooping to her level. Proud of you, man." I smiled at the text, realizing that the chaos had strengthened my relationships, not weakened them. Emily and I grew closer, more connected, and more appreciative of the calm, stable life we shared. One evening, months after the incident, I ran into Melissa at a coffee shop. She looked different, quieter, subdued. She avoided my gaze, but for a moment, I saw a flash of recognition, of remorse. I didn't approach her. There was nothing left to say. The chapter was closed. Life moved forward. Emily and I focused on our future, traveling, planning a home, and enjoying simple moments together. I learned to value honesty and transparency more than ever. The drama of false accusations and manipulation had left scars. Yes, but it also taught me resilience, patience, and the importance of standing firm in the truth. Occasionally, I thought about the chaos Melissa had created, the fear and stress, and the almost surreal twist of what could have happened if I had reacted differently. But those thoughts were no longer heavy, they were lessons. I had faced the storm, navigated the lies, and emerged stronger. And more importantly, I realized something vital. Truth has a way of revealing itself. No matter how carefully someone tries to hide it, lies can be loud and frightening, but they are fragile. And the moment reality catches up, everything falls into place. Emily and I sat on the balcony one warm evening, sipping tea as the sun dipped below the horizon. "I'm glad it's over," Emily whispered. "Me too," I replied, watching the sky shift from orange to deep purple. It's like waking up from a nightmare, finally feeling the morning light. And for the first time in months, I truly believed it. The nightmare was over. The lies had been exposed, the truth had triumphed, and life, real life, was waiting to be lived. Life seemed calm for the first time in years. Emily and I had settled into a comfortable routine, our relationship stronger than ever. But calm, I realized, can be deceptive, especially when someone from your past refuses to truly let go. It started with small things: a misplaced letter in the mailbox, a suspicious Instagram comment on one of my posts, the faint feeling of being watched when leaving the office. At first, I dismissed it. After all, Melissa had a restraining order against her. There was no way she could legally reach me, right? Then came the call. "John, it's me," a distorted voice whispered over the phone. My heart skipped a beat. I recognized it immediately. "Melissa?" I froze. Emily, who was sitting nearby, noticed my expression. "What is it?" she asked. "Someone called me," I muttered. The call had ended as suddenly as it began, leaving only a faint static echo in the line. Over the next few days, the incidents grew stranger. My car was keyed while parked outside the apartment. My email received cryptic messages. You can't hide forever. And, most disturbing of all, a package arrived at my door containing a single photograph, me, standing outside my office, apparently taken without my knowledge. It was clear. Melissa wasn't done. She had escalated from verbal accusations to harassment that skirted legality. Emily was understandably terrified. John, maybe we should involve the police again, she urged. I don't want to live in fear. I agreed. But I also felt a strange determination. Melissa had built a web of lies, and now she was trying to intimidate us further. I wasn't going to let her win. I reached out to Ryan, the private investigator who had helped me before. When I explained the situation, he didn't mince words. She's testing boundaries, seeing how far she can push you. But I can track her, and this time we'll do it faster. No mistakes. Over the next week, Ryan worked tirelessly. He uncovered a hidden layer of Melissa's obsession. She had been renting a small apartment a few blocks away, keeping herself close enough to monitor my movements. She had access to online tracking apps and even small drones, which explained the photo. When Emily and I learned this, our relief was mixed with dread. Melissa had truly become unhinged, and her obsession had deepened. One evening, as Emily and I sat together in the living room, a loud knock startled us. I opened the door to find Melissa standing there, drenched from the rain, her eyes wild. John, you can't ignore me. I know the truth. I know what you did, she shouted. Emily stepped forward. Melissa, you're not welcome here. Leave. But she didn't move. Instead, she reached into her coat and pulled out a small envelope. Open it, you'll see. I hesitated, then carefully took the envelope. Inside was a series of letters and photographs, seemingly innocuous, but as I examined them, I realized the horrifying truth. Melissa had been fabricating evidence of crimes she claimed I had committed, minor, but potentially damaging things she had staged months ago. If released online, it could ruin my reputation. Emily gasped. This is insane. She's planning to destroy everything. I knew we had to act fast. I called Ryan immediately, who advised going to the authorities and presenting the evidence. The plan was simple: document everything, gather proof, and confront her legally before she could cause irreversible harm. Melissa, however, seemed to anticipate this. That night, she tried to flee the city. Ryan tracked her to a bus station just in time. The police intercepted her before she could disappear. Under questioning, Melissa finally broke down. She admitted everything: the lies, the harassment, the stalking, and the staged evidence. It was clear she had lost touch with reality entirely. Driven by obsession and jealousy, the authorities arranged for her to undergo mandatory psychiatric evaluation and therapy. The restraining order was extended, making it permanent this time. I finally felt a sense of closure, but this time it was more absolute. Melissa wouldn't have the power to harm us again. Afterward, Emily and I took a long walk in the park, breathing in the crisp evening air. Do you think it's really over now? She asked softly. I held her hand tightly. I think so, but we've learned something important. People can be dangerous when they're consumed by lies, but the truth, and the people who support you, will always prevail. Months passed. Life returned to normal, though with a new layer of awareness. Emily and I remained vigilant, yet happier than ever. Melissa's shadow no longer haunted us, but her story served as a reminder. The world can be messy, chaotic, and frightening, but resilience, honesty, and love can overcome even the darkest manipulations. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I looked at Emily and smiled. You know, I said, sometimes life throws the craziest storms at you, but we survived it. She smiled back, her eyes reflecting both relief and love. And we'll survive whatever comes next, together. For the first time in years, I truly believed it. Life, with all its uncertainties, could be beautiful again. And we had finally earned our peace.